In 2021, the NCAA changed transfer rules to allow student athletes to transfer one time without sitting out. Since the rule change, lots of stigmatization has occurred surrounding athletes entering the transfer portal. How does this affect a D2 institution like Augustana University?
It doesn't happen as often at Division II just because the priorities aren't, I'm going to be an athlete at X, I'm going to be a student athlete at X is more of the way that I think it's viewed at Division II and III especially. You look at any coach's wire, any ticker on ESPN, you're going to see all these coaches who are leaving their jobs to go find a different or better position. And so we fault 18 to 23-year-olds for doing the exact same thing, but we don't chastise the people who are making a lot of these decisions for themselves and their families impact somebody else. You know, a lot of coaches will recruit somebody to come to school and then they'll leave the school, and so you leave the recruit behind. And so if you think about it, a lot of the movement that happens, especially at the Power 5 level, isn't necessarily just because a student athlete's trying to find a better situation. It's because they came into a situation and 2 years later their entire staff is gone. And so they have to kind of figure out where they're going to stand in that program.
At Division II, you can enter the portal at any time. It could be in the middle of the season, after the season, before a season. There's a lot more room for a Division II athlete to have the time and place to be able to enter the portal.
There totally is a stigma around it, but also people have a lot going on that you wouldn't know about. Like, if I wouldn't have told anyone about what happened at my old school, no one would have known. People just don't know what you're going through, and you honestly have to make the best decision for you. You have to be in tune with yourself, and you have to know what is gonna benefit you in the long run. And you can't, like, a stigma is always gonna be there, and it's always gonna be a negative connotation with transferring, but I mean, for me, it was a really positive experience.
I think it's really interesting when thinking about how student athletes get this stigma that because they're trying to better their circumstances, that it's any different than coaches leaving their school to find a better opportunity. You look at Washington, you know, Kelly DeBoer leaves Washington to go to Alabama. Now, is that not much better of a situation? Probably not, but yes, because it's Alabama football. But he's come from a line of different spots, including University of Sioux Falls just down the street, where he's improving his life in some capacity. But yet, we harbor lots of resentment towards these student athletes who do the exact same thing, who are looking for a better situation.
My dad played football at Nebraska, and he has a national title ring. So, like, he's like a football player, like hardcore, like hard work ethic. So, like, that was kind of instilled in our family since we were young. And transferring and quitting, like, they go hand in hand for me and my family. So I felt like I was letting people down because I couldn't do it anymore. I was, like, quitting something. I think it was hard to come to terms with that. It was just a bittersweet moment because I knew that turning the page, like, I had so much more in store for me, but I just didn't know what.
Let's use Caleb Williams as an example because he just got drafted in the NFL. I mean, is it his fault that he's choosing to go to the same school that his head coach is then going to? That's not fair for a student athlete to be put at that distinction that they're somehow selfish and doing things for selfish purposes, when the reality is coaches do it every day. And the way that kind of impacts Division II is no different. It's no different. And it's no different at Division III. It's just there's not as much movement. There's lots of movement. There's not as much coaching movement. And so, you know, coming in for me, I come into a situation where we have 60 some odd people who don't know who I am. They didn't get recruited by me. However, they're here to get an education at a place like Augustana. And I think that's the distinction between Division I and II.
Yeah, so I would say the benefits of it, you know, for a student athlete is it's all a case-by-case basis. So for me, being in compliance, it's about rules education. I'm not here to try to convince a kid to stay or to even try to convince a kid to leave if they come in and talk to me about their particular situation. The drawbacks of the portal, the difficult thing is some kids think, you know, that grass may be greener by going somewhere else. Sometimes when you go into the portal, those rosters are already filled up. They already have other people in the portal that are coming to their institution. So there's times then where kids are kind of left in limbo.